Joining us now is Stephanie Roth, chief economist at Wolfe Research. Stephanie, you've crunched some of these numbers, I guess, to try and figure out exactly what it might mean in terms of cost, in terms of maybe number of workers and effect on the labor supply. What are the main findings?
I think the first thing to focus on is the median wage for these people. It's about 120,000. So to the point that was made earlier, perhaps it's not all companies just bringing in very high skill level of workers. It might be the more mainstream type of tech workers, which they could potentially source from the U.S. So it is very likely that the program will be reduced significantly in size when we get to next year. And by the way, the youth unemployment rate is fairly high in this country. So it is very possible that companies will be able to source a bit more from the U.S., which then puts the program at more significant risk.
I mean, what are the numbers? I mean, I think annually it's a few 100,000 that are new visa holders that are brought in. Is there that much slack of this type of worker among U.S. Employees that could be filling those roles?
Yeah, so the program is currently about nearly 400,000 visa holders, but that's given that the program is 3 years with a possible 3-year extension.
Okay.
Every year, it's up to about 85,000 workers. So to the extent that a large share of them can be sourced from internal, and then the rest of it can be sourced externally for the companies that are willing to pay the fee. And it's a one-time fee, not an annual fee, as was initially alluded to on Friday.
But in terms of the idea that, companies are sourcing not extremely specialized individuals to come to the United States, and they're overlooking U.S. candidates. Are there the U.S. candidates to fill these jobs that have traditionally been filled by H-1B visa holders? And if they do fill from the United States, presumably the wage would be higher.
Yes, that is fair. While they're technically the rule is that they have to be paid a wage that's similar to the wages for their foreign-born counterparts, given location and industry. There's evidence that they're getting paid more similar for an older worker compared to the native-born counterpart. So it does appear like there is a bit of a sort of wage gap that these people are being hired at a bit of a discount. Although on paper they are paid a similar wage compared to sort of someone that's more native-born. As for number of people, the youth unemployment rate is nearly 10%, and then we are concerned about AI automating a lot of jobs out there. Well, a lot of these jobs are white-collar jobs, so it is very possible this could be a help to the situation where we are concerned about AI taking a lot of white-collar jobs. There might just be a reshuffling in the labor market, so perhaps there is some positives that could come out of this type of policy.
I guess it's just, if nothing else, incrementally, another restraint on labor supply. We've already obviously been cracking down on, immigrant populations in general. And you also have seen a little bit of an erosion of, not much, but I guess a little bit of standstill in the prime age labor force participation. So what do you make of the overall supply-demand dynamics in the labor market, and how do we read through that to figure out what the underlying economic trend is?
Yeah, so right now it's an interesting story because you're sitting here with blue-collar workers at the margin. There is less supply of them. Granted, supply and demand have come back down pretty considerably throughout the course of this year because tariff policy has weighed on the economy. So now we're in a steady state balance where there is certainly a lot less supply of workers, but the demand has also come down quite a bit. Now, into the future, we might have even reduced supply from a white-collar worker perspective. But the challenge is, to sort of model and estimate, is AI could have a material impact in terms of the sort of the white-collar labor force. So the expectation is net immigration will be quite slow for the next couple of years. That's not an area where AI can have an impact, but AI does have an impact on the white-collar workers, which is exactly the program that we're talking about. And specifically, it's tech, the medical field. Perhaps there was some news today that perhaps that might see some exemptions. Finance is also a big driver of a lot of the hiring within this program. So these are the parts where AI might be coming from the job. So we might actually be in an environment where supply and demand, even on the white-collar side, is sort of more balanced as well, because right now there is more of a supply than a demand, which is why you're seeing the unemployment rate start to edge up in a lot of these areas.
Right. Yeah. So this could, I guess, maybe mitigate the AI effect, I guess, that we're waiting to see in tangible terms. Stephanie Roth from Wolfe, thank you very much.